Ladies and gentlemen, welcome down to the third 3J's Sports Podcast, the Ashes edition. I'm Jake Botel.
I'm Jack Turner.
I'm John Larkin.
And we are the three wankers here to walk you through your Ashes series.
We're
Good
here
to
to
be
give
back,
you
boys.
our very honest opinion
That's right.
of the Ashes.
Feels like it's been a while.
It does.
Feels like a long time. It's a long 10 days or whatever it's been.
A long week since between tests.
And it's funny, there's like, obviously the next one starts tomorrow, but it sort of crept up on me. In some ways, it seems like a long time since we recorded the last one, but then the next one sort of shot up on me all of a sudden.
It feels like it's another day-night test for us Victorians.
Yeah.
Being over in Perth, not starting till about 2:30.
Yeah, I think it is about 2:30
Yeah.
for us over here, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm pretty easy. I'll just
Whenever
watch.
it's on.
Yeah, whenever it's on, I'll be watching.
Cricket's cricket. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the result in the end from Adelaide ended up being a bit one-sided.
It was
Yeah,
just
I was
another.
disappointed.
Me too.
It was disappointing to see England just get thrashed.
In
Basically.
the end, and
Basically, it was just a flogging by Australia yet again.
I felt I was left sort of empty-handed.
Yeah.
The whole setup for the match was brilliant, and then it
Yep.
just fell in a hole.
Yeah, they were looking like they were coming good. They were looking like they were going to embarrass us at one stage.
Steve Smith enforced a fellow one, and Joe Root and who else was in with him?
Well, first they got bowled out so cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Australia
well,
got
they
bowled out so
embarrassed us in
cheap.
that
Yeah.
night session. Yeah.
yeah, they really embarrassed us. And then Joe Root and that were able to stick in, and I thought if he could stick around for the day, they would get those runs.
Well, and it's almost been one of the biggest features. If you look at it across the series, what the captains have been able to do when the heat's been turned on. Smith goes and makes that ridiculous, ton in the first game, and you really were looking for Root to do something similar.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he had to bat through, he had to make 100, 150 for them to get anywhere near it. Just disappointing in the way it happened. Like, even if they had just got closer, but in the end, you lose by 120 runs or whatever it was.
It's a massive
It's pretty
loss.
crushing.
Yeah, when Australia declared, if it had been bowled out, and they lost by that, it's almost not quite as bad, I feel. But to have Australia declare 8 for and then
Especially when
still win
there was
by
those
20.
periods when they would get really good bowling going and get a couple of wickets, but they just, again, like in Brisbane, they weren't able to sustain that attack.
Yeah, well, it was they were disappointing for mine in the first innings.
Yeah.
Like the whole second innings, I thought if they'd come with that standard and quality from ball one in Brisbane, I feel like
It would be
it would have been a lot closer
it
in
could be a
Adelaide.
completely different story.
Well, Stoneman freed his arms
Yeah,
in that second innings, and you sort of thought, oh, well, if they knock off a few of these quickly, which they sort of did. He and Cook stuck together. I think they'd knocked off 40 or 50 of the runs before they lost a wicket. I think what was really just kind of disappointing about it for me was just how quickly it fell in a heat.
Yeah.
Even, when you lose Joe Root, which is obviously, you kind of go, that's the linchpin, but they didn't get
but it
much
shouldn't
closer
be.
once he was
It
not
is professional sport. Like it is. I know what you're saying. It is, and it's like the way they say that about Australia. You get Warner and Smith. You get Australia, which I don't tend to agree with 100%.
Yeah.
But it is the same with England. You get Cook and Root, and you get England, and that is proving to be the case.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at Moeen Ali's stats, and I had pegged him to be one of the most important player for England. And in that regard, I think it's true in that he's not at the moment, and it's showing, how much. Like, I looked at the stats. So Nathan Lyon has got him out every dismissal.
Yeah.
4 for 4.
And
He's got him.
There's another stat I found out watching the cricket, which you guys might have heard as well, that Lyon, I'm pretty sure it's still the case now, has the most amount of test wickets for a spinner.
For an off spinner, or
Just spinner
Yeah.
in the world, and he's played less games than basically every other spinner.
You're right. Well, they reckon
So,
on the ABC they were saying, if he plays long enough, he's gonna, he can take 700 Test wickets or whatever. He isn't. He's young and he's a spinner in that it's not as hard on your body.
No, so you could see him going to 35 plus easily, or Anderson's 35. Not bowling 150, but he's bowling 135 to 140 at 35.
When he does get his line and length and that turn and the swing going, he's still deadly.
And you sort of just look at him. How confident is he?
Yeah, he's been up and about.
It's a different sort of guy to years gone
Even
past.
leaping up and
He's buzzing.
yeah.
And then you look at Ali.
Yeah.
You can just tell the difference. It's like one's
Yeah.
way up on cloud nine, the other one's just like, I've got out to this guy again.
Struggle and even struggling from a bowling perspective, like you sort of go, well, surely he's going to have an impact with either the bat or the ball. That's what you'd be counting on. Okay, he struggles with the bat, he'll get him. But it's not doing it either at the moment.
I don't know if it is his finger that's been bothering him. Like if that is the case, and you do see him in the field, even he picks the ball up, throws it in, looks at his hand. Why didn't they rest him for a week?
Yeah.
Or just play him as a batsman.
Or play him as a batsman, and maybe he could have come. Maybe he would have been right to bowl in the second innings. Even
Yeah.
I don't know how bad it is. I haven't really seen it.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything about Ali on. Oh, it's only an Australian cricket app, but there hasn't been much news about injuries or anything about that, and so it could be not improving at all, or it could be fully healed and just not going around. Or
listening to some of the commentary and stuff, they do talk about when you get those finger injuries that pretty much as soon as you bowl the first ball, it just tears it open and it starts all over again until it's fully healed.
So is it a cut? Is it on?
I think
his
he's
hand?
got like a blister or whatever it is that just pops open and it would hurt, I'm sure, and
it would be uncomfortable, but
I don't know. But if you give me $500 to bowl a ball, cut my hand off, and I'll still manage.
There's
that also raises the question: is why didn't they rest him?
Well, I don't
for
know.
Adelaide Test.
Rest him for Adelaide, bowl route, and bring in Mason Crane.
Yeah.
For Ali, maybe, and try the leggy option.
Well, they seem to be seriously lacking another potent bowling option. Now, I think Overton was great when he came in.
Really liked him.
Why did he not play Test 1?
Because he can bat.
I reckon over the whole Test, he was played England's best bowler, most consistent bowler.
Yeah, I really liked him, and I thought he was fantastic with the bat.
That dismissal of Steve Smith
was brilliant.
That was nicely set up and
good gut sort of bowling. Just he's only 23. So, if he comes in and has a good series, I mean, he's taken, four wickets in that game, 3 in the first innings, which that says a lot to me about him, in that he was the one to toil when the Aussies were racking the runs up.
And I found the best thing that I saw in him was his energy levels and his passion, which was consistent from ball 1 to the last ball, whereas they're senior players that they need to stand up that aren't really standing up for the whole game. They've been a bit patchy, whereas he was up and about from ball 1. I think he was even under bowled because he was. You could just see he wanted the ball. You could have batted him higher.
Well, he barely bowled in that second innings when I mean, admittedly, Anderson was tearing through them.
Yeah.
But Overton, I think, took the ball relatively early, perhaps, and then didn't come back on again.
And then got a wicket when he did come on.
Yeah.
I
so he's
scratch my head sometimes.
He's played 63 first-class matches, which is a fair few for a 23-year-old, especially in this day and age where they often skip the first-class scene and go straight up, like your Pat Cummins, who has barely played any first-class cricket, really. I should fact-check that, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't played many first-class games, Cummins. He's got a century and 7 half-centuries at an average of 22 runs an innings. And then in terms of his bowling, he's taken 199 wickets. So that's a pretty decent all-rounder. So he averages 26 with the ball, 22 with the bat. And that's kind of what you're looking for in an all-rounder, is someone who averages a similar amount.
Yeah, if you can... what do you classify I was actually thinking about this last night. I'm glad I remembered to ask. What would you classify as a genuine all-rounder figures as opposed to a batting all-rounder or a bowling all-rounder? What would you be looking for?
I would want my all-rounder to be averaging probably around 30 with the bat, not much less than that. You know, you're wanting it 30, mid-30s, and maybe something similar in terms of, you know, how many runs and that sort of thing he's given up with the ball.
What about, say, if you went, 30 runs average, and what about average wickets? If you forget about the bowling average for a second, how many wickets would you need them
per
to take?
game?
Yeah.
You'd want them to be either chipping in a genuine all-rounder, like being capable of taking, like, you know, at least one wicket per innings, but probably more than that. You know, you hope that sometimes you're going to chip in with your 2 or 3.
2.5 wickets a match.
I would say that the reverse to that, of course, is probably the wickets aside, someone who can bowl a lot of overs, kind of thing, and
say
tie up
one or
an
two,
end, who's got a good economy rate.
Yeah.
But you're going to want it. You've basically got to be, when called upon, I think, to be that genuine all-rounder, like this guy's as good with the bat as he is with the ball. You have to be able to do whatever the team requires. You know,
so either tie up an end or try to break a partnership.
Yeah, and then with the bat as well.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to contribute runs like a top-order batsman.
Yeah.
I think they're the, you know, and how many guys can actually do it? Not many.
Yeah, not.
You know, the ones throughout history who have been at that highest level. You know, Jacques Callis with over 10,000 Test runs and 300 wickets. Like,
yeah. But
that's my opinion.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and mine's pretty much similar as Jake. Someone who has a fairly good average with the bat, nothing too amazing, just a nice, 30 odd with the bat, and I would say about 1 to 2, 3 wickets in innings if able, as Jake was saying, to tie up one end or break a partnership and be able to bowl for a while to give your mainstream bowlers a break.
Yeah.
For a good
I think
8 or so overs.
Shakib from Bangladesh, he does that role really well. Like, you often see them. I mean, he does take big bags of wickets occasionally, but then there are other times where he doesn't necessarily
Just
bowl
ties
that
up
much,
an end,
or he's good at breaking a partnership.
Yeah.
You know, you bring him on for a burst of overs where he
Yeah.
can attack with his spin and that. What about you? What do you sort of?
Yeah, I don't know. I scratch my head at it. I feel like probably the same with the bat. I'd say more for me, if you average 25 with the bat and average 2.5 wickets a match, I would consider that genuine all-rounder status. But I wonder why, if you're a professional sports person and you're a professional cricketer, why bowlers do struggle so much. I think what made me really start thinking about it is the way Cummins has performed. And then I've just recently watched a bit of New Zealand playing their test match, and they've got Southey, who's one of their better bowlers, came out and batted really well, and they were talking about how he's really been trying hard with the bat, and most of their bowlers average a bit over 20, and they're not considered their all-rounders, but and one of my favourites, who was Stokes, as you know, is one of my favourite players, my first picked. He's your all-rounder, and I can't think of his name for New Zealand. He's got a funny name, but he's relatively new.
Is he a spin bowler as well?
Nah, he bowls pace. It'll come to me at some stage.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's a genuine all-rounder, and he's averaging in the 30s and taking 2 or 3 wickets a match. And I wonder why Cummins can't step up and do that. I wonder why we don't try to get that more. There's so many players in Shield cricket that are have really good batting and bowling figures.
Well, do you think it's the fact that, you know, is he allowed to step in and do that? Because I feel like every time he's been asked this series to do it, he's done it. I've just got his figures in front of me. He is averaging 25 with the bat. He's taken 28 wickets. As far as the bowling average, batting average, he averages 25 with the bat. He averages 25 with the ball.
Yeah.
So he fits in that. I know I'm changing my tune a little bit here because he seems to have done a lot of work, and I'm prepared to eat my words about this. He, to me, looks a better proposition all round than Mitch Starc.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was preaching Stark being that all-rounder, but and I get affected by the way that, and England are doing it to me too, that they can't change things up on the move mid-match. You know, you've played 2 poor innings in Brisbane, then you come here, someone plays a good first innings, why not mix it up?
Yeah,
like I thought when they bought Wokes on as the night watchman, England, which I thought was better than bringing on a Broad or Anderson, because Wokes is handy with the bat. They elevated him up, and I thought that's actually not a bad tactic, because then tomorrow he might be able to make you 50 runs.
Yeah.
But I thought, why didn't they bring in Overton, who was the pick of the tail enders? So why not give him that chance to be the night watchman? He's solid in defence. And then the same goes with Australia. I really, really wanted to see them bat Cummins ahead of Stark.
I reckon they absolutely should, the way
he's been going
in his bat.
Reward his performances.
Do you think? So his figures so far this series, he's taken 3 for 85 and 1 for 23 in Brisbane, and he paired that with a 42 with the bat. Over in Adelaide, 1 for 39 and 2 for 47 to go with 44 with the bat and 11 not out.
Yeah.
So 3 innings.
They're
he's made
all round
90 odd
figures,
runs,
in my opinion.
That's
and he's
pretty
picking
good.
up those 2, somewhere from 1 to 3 wickets,
and
every
tying
time
up an
he's
end.
bowling.
And
much.
I think he's probably been underbowled a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's again with that being able to react mid-game. I really wanted to see him, even if he might be the pick of the bowlers for a session, come out in the next session, why doesn't he get to open the bowling? Why do they have to go back to Hazelwood and Stark? And Hazelwood and Stark performed, but there's times where they're not performing quite as well, and Cummins is coming in and he's the one doing all the damage. Why can't they throw him the new ball, even if it's only for 3 overs? Why can't they do that?
I don't know.
I personally don't think Hazelwood's very good with the new ball. He does nothing for me with the new ball. He doesn't bowl you 150. He was getting up there in Adelaide into about 145, which was high for him, but I don't see him as a new ball bowler.
The carnage you feel like Stark and Cummins could do if you paired them up with the new ball.
It'll be pretty devastating.
Josh Hazelwood fits in an interesting category for me where, I remember he kind of reminds me in some ways of Stuart Clark. When Clark, very tall, gets a bit of that bounce, very more line and length orientated than, say, Stark or Cummins is. But they often seem to use him like a strike bowler.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
No, neither
when
do I.
You've got a Cummins in the bank, like he's almost a right-handed Stark for me.
Yeah.
And I think Stark is great with a new ball. It would terrify the hell out of you having someone come in and bowl swinging or outswing us at 150. Like you'd hit yourself. And Cummins can do that. Hazelwood can't. I just don't understand. And I feel like if you swapped their ages and matches around, but kept everything else the same, I would be pretty confident that Cummins would be opening the bowling with Stark.
It'll be interesting. They should give it a try in Perth, because that could be really good for Cummins.
Well, I think it's going to be a perfect pitch for Cummins. A Cummins and Stark.
That could even throw the English off a bit. Go up against Hazelwood and Stark first up, and then they're chucking out Cummins. Are like, you've got to get ready for this guy who can bowl pretty fast and
and then you're not having the break.
Yeah.
Whereas you go Stark, pinging it in like a minimum of 145.
Yeah.
And then you get almost a breather with Hazelwood, especially if you're willing to just block and leave balls, because you know where he's going to bowl it. Once he picks his line of length, that's where he's going to bowl it, and he's going to be bowling around the same pace. So you get no time to settle if you've got Stark and Cummins up. Do you know?
Yeah, fully. And
absolutely.
Cummins has actually been more economical this series than Hazelwood has. They've taken the same amount of wickets. They've each taken 7. But it's, I mean, I'm just looking at these figures. It's really interesting for, you know, the Australians. Stark with 14, Lyon with 11, Cummins with 7, Hazelwood with 7. The 4 frontline bowlers have taken all the wickets.
Yeah.
Australia haven't really... And this is where I feel
If
like
there's an injury...
so much hinged on
Yeah.
that first innings up at the Gabba.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
to get
If
Lyon
England
out.
had managed to nail 450, 500 or something off the bat, you
Yeah,
keep
wear
them
them
out
out.
there for almost 2 days in the field.
That's a long time in the Brisbane heat.
Yeah.
You know, you...
Bowling that the way they bowl as well. It's not wouldn't be easy on the body.
Well, I mean, Lyon's been allowed to bowl 109 overs
Yeah.
at 2.2
They were
runs and
better.
over.
They were
Yeah,
they were
it was-
better.
it
But
was
they
a
were
plan.
still a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of felt like they attacked him for a bit,
And then
and
they
then they went
stopped,
back into
yeah.
the shell as soon as he started getting
Yeah,
back on
he
top.
just had to get one good ball,
Mm.
and they just got back in their little box,
Yeah.
which
I
I
saw-
didn't like. It
was it,
disappointed me.
Stoneman, was it him? Was he the one who was really trying to attack him?
I think Stoneman and Ali tried to go
Yeah.
after him a few times
Yeah.
as well. Do you think they've been unlucky? I mean, I know luck always plays a part. Do you think that England have been a little bit unlucky? There were a lot of plays and misses that, you know, I feel like Anderson, Broad particularly, I remember, I think there was a spell in Brisbane where you sort of was like every second or third ball could have been a caught behind. It's just
Yeah,
missing
he's
the edge. Like,
almost been their best bowler,
and he's only taken 5
but
wickets.
he's not getting the rewards.
Sometimes it just doesn't go for you. Sort
Yeah.
of thing, you
Been
know?
a bit like that for them, I think.
And all this stuff, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm worried because it's starting to have that
feel.
nightmare tour kind
Yeah.
of feel where there's all this stuff in the media
It's-
now. There's the Stoke stuff at the start.
And there's more
Best though. Now,
England issues, and then
Ducker,
Ali,
whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Ali's come out and said that the issues outside of cricket for England is possibly turning into a problem for them.
yeah, and I've Cook too, because
Yeah.
he's playing his 150th
Wow.
Test match, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And he
And-
came out and said the same thing, that it is affecting them. They didn't realise that since Stokes that it had such an effect on them, but now they see that it has.
Yeah. Well, it changes the
yeah, it
expectations
does.
on you from everyone around you. You know, when you've got that extra scrutiny on you because of such and such has done this, it's not a normal tour anymore.
Yeah.
No.
The expectations
that
on you as a group are different.
Taint to it.
Yeah,
that-
yeah, yeah.
of, like who's gonna stuff up next, basically.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the next
and
bad
aren't
egg?
the media loving it, loving the opportunity to jump down their throats.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It's amazing that like when England come here, anything the Australian media will pick up will tear them to shreds, and then it's the same in England.
You go, yeah.
It does need that one tiny little thing to slip up for you on a tour, and the media's after you.
And I almost feel like they're not really answering the behavioural problems properly either.
Yeah.
Like even Cook said, all right, we didn't realise that the Stokes incident had an effect on us, but it has. But then he went on to sort of talk more about the fact that he said, unlike football where you can't go anywhere without being noticed, we've been able to. Now we have to, he almost said, now we have to behave when we go out and have a beer.
Yeah.
But we're not a drinking culture. I almost feel like they haven't said we need to pull our heads in
Yeah.
because we're playing up.
It's sort of like
It's
we've got
all
to,
over the media.
Yeah.
He sort of said, oh, it's a shame that now we're getting seen. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's
it's
what
sort
they've
of like
been
we've got to
answering.
watch ourselves
Yeah.
now instead
Yeah,
of going
you're professional. Just pull your head in.
Well,
control.
Run amok in the hotel or in the
Yeah.
motel, whatever.
Yeah,
Like
if you're
wherever
out
you're
of sight.
staying, get
if you want to pour a beer over James Anderson, like, you know.
yeah,
Do it
behind closed
Hold
doors.
it with no one on the outside at all.
Well, it's just starting to get a little bit danger territory. Well, I mean, it's
Mm.
two
Yeah.
not
Turning
down
into a
in
bit of a
5-match
circus.
series,
It is.
and you go to a venue like the WACA, which is, you know, a similar history to Brisbane in that when was the last time Australia lost at the WACA,
Yeah.
sort of thing. When was the last time England won at the WACA?
And especially being the last test at the WACAs, Australia's not going to want to lose that, so they're going to come out firing, I reckon.
It's played into. It almost feels like every match situation has somehow played into Australia's hands. In that, the Stokes situation, all that focus, all that circus around it going into Test 1, Australia didn't really have anything like that in their camp. They could sledge or not sledge as they wanted. You come into the second Test.
It's all on...
It's day night.
On England.
Yeah, again, and England starts sledging back. There's more,
Didn't Smith have a cry? Isn't he a can give it and not take it?
When was that? No, I didn't see that.
No, I didn't see that.
He was disgraceful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't even care what they were saying.
Yeah.
Because they've been great on the lip, the Aussies.
Yeah.
And when he came out to bat,
Yeah.
Broad was chirping up, Anderson was chirping up, and Smith was pointing his bat. He was getting really angry.
Yeah.
And then at one stage, they had Anderson fielding just off the pitch.
Yeah.
And Smith refused to move out of his way to run, and he was sooking that Anderson was standing. No, sorry, mate.
Yeah.
But if the bowler wants to swap sides, you've got to move.
Yeah.
They've got every right to put a fielder wherever they want, as long as he's not standing on the pitch, and he wasn't. Move over, champ. I don't care how OCD you are. And they got in his head.
Yeah.
And I
He
didn't
came out
like
and said,
it.
"Oh no, it switched me on. It switched me on."
Well, no, it didn't,
I reckon,
champ, because he didn't make many runs,
No.
and the ball he went out to was un-Smith-like.
Yeah.
If you look at the other at the Gabba, because he clearly
It clearly
lost
did affect him. And
he was carrying on like a child.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed.
Well, I feel like that's been actually an area where South Africa have prospered the last few tours, where unlike a few other teams, they've actually, and I'm a South African supporter, so I just love this, but they've actually been able to get under the skin.
Yeah, they're good on the sledge.
Yeah, which is unlike, say like a Pakistan or come over here, the West Indies. South Africa come over and they've got a similar attitude to Australia, especially now with Faf du Plessis as captain, who's not afraid one bit to go right back at them. And I feel like it does. The Warner-Smith leadership situation is pretty combustible.
Yeah,
they're both hotheads,
Yeah.
them two. When it comes to sledging, they both can, as they're saying, they can both give it, but
they can't take
they
it.
can't
That
take it that well.
embarrassed me. I hated that.
I wish Stokes was here though,
Oh yeah.
because Root isn't one to get involved.
No.
He's not that kind of captain. I don't think, and you can try and put it on, but some players are cut out for that sort of stuff. I think Stokes is one of those players. It's like Amler. When Amler was captain for South Africa, he shouldn't, he wouldn't get involved in any of that sort of gamesmanshipy kind of stuff that I saw. Smith did.
Yep.
Graham Smith was a bully like that, and Faf's the same. They love that part of the game. But that's where it would have been good for Stokes to be here.
Yeah.
As that
Because
buffer.
Cook,
between
I
the-
don't see Cook. He's not a.
No.
He
No.
doesn't lip up either. And
no way would he lip up.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see Stokes here lipping up, because it's fallen onto Broad and Anderson, and then when they don't perform, then it hurts them even more, because they're the ones that are having to do all the talking.
Stokes has just got that ability to just switch a match.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this, like with the West Indies saying, the current West Indies side, and that, it's a shame that we haven't got to see all that talent that exists in West Indies cricket on the same pitch for a test match in the last however long.
Yeah.
Because they have so many players that can turn a match in a session, and I feel like that is what Stokes is. It's what Moeen Ali usually is. We're not going to see him though, are we?
I don't think
Nah.
for the test
It's
matches.
not looking
I
good.
think if he plays, it'll be the one dayers, and that doesn't
and
interest me
There's also
too
that.
much, to be
No.
honest.
I was listening to a cricket show on the radio the other day, and they were talking about the Stokes thing. I think it was just after a test match,
Yep.
and they were talking about the Stokes issue, and they were saying that, the media was saying, like, if England do bring in Stokes, would that make him look not that strict on that kind of behaviour? That's going to, we'll put you aside until this is over, but once that's over, you can come straight back in. That's something they should just, like,
I'd play him
get him
personally.
rid of, especially since
2-0
the charges
down
were
to
laid
WACA.
against him.
Yeah.
I reckon if the charges weren't laid against him, yeah, that's fine. But I think they're saying since the charges were laid on him, it could even put more bad light on England, saying that, even though you've been charged, you're still happy to play you.
The question is, what
And that-
kind of cricket is he going to be able to come back and play? If you walk into that, like, the focus, the circus around it, you wanted this resolved, I think. If he was going to come back and play, you want charges have been dropped, he's fine, he's in the clear. comes back and plays. You don't want to be coming back into the test side with, oh yeah, he still might be charged, he still might not be charged. I think it's the right decision not to play him at the moment.
Probably,
Yeah.
but it's
killing him.
disappointing.
Yeah, and
I think
yeah.
as England, I wouldn't play him just yet. I'd probably wait till I think they would waiting till the 1 days to play him, and yeah, you want it to sort of blow over a bit. Let it cool down.
Would you even play him in the 1 days if you say they go on to lose the Ashes 5-0? What's to be gained from bringing him in for a 1 day series where he will be roundly taunted by everybody,
everyone in the crowd,
every man and his dog kind of thing? You're going to get the media circus drag on for another 2 months across the limiters over stuff. Just say go home, get ready for go play county cricket.
Stay out of trouble.
Clear your head.
See you next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's disappointing because as a cricket fan,
it's that
I
thing
want to
that,
see him out there.
yeah, it's that thing of they've got to talk with him and see where he's at with his cricket, because in New Zealand he didn't do well at all. He failed with the bat and the ball. So there's something in his head probably playing with him on
it's a pretty big
everything
thing
that's
to be
going
on.
on. It's a massive thing. So maybe they'll have to talk to him and see where he's at once it's all done and dusted, and just go maybe take some mental health days and get yourself sorted out.
Well, I mean, just moving sort of off poor old Stokesy.
Yeah, poor Stokes.
Onto this
with him.
this next test match. This is massive.
Again.
I think again. I mean, they're all massive. It's
They're
a
all
it's the Ashes. It's always massive. If they lose, we're really starting to think they ain't going to get up Boxing Day. They're probably not going to get up.
Yeah, I think it'll deflate them even more.
3-0, you've lost. Like,
especially if Root really needs to get some runs, because he's only a new captain and it's his second test as a captain, but you can say he's a bit inexperienced, but he's not inexperienced with the bat, so he really needs to, even if he just bats really well and sort of just try not, you don't want to put his pressure on, like, you need to lead from the front. They just need to say,
yeah, I would too.
I feel like he needs to go out.
He definitely needs to lead from front, but I reckon the cricket team should just go just make the runs, forget about what the team's on, just go out there and bat like you used to.
Well, I
play
think
your style.
He has to get 100 in this match.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Or not. He needs to get a top score kind of innings, and there's going to be runs at the WACA.
Unless you see unless a Cook, Stoneman come out and put on a 200-run partnership, then the pressure's off, and then you're probably more likely to see Root score 100 too.
Yeah.
But then there's less pressure if they score before him.
Then there's the pressure's gone, and he's like, oh,
that match though, the Adelaide one, there's a piece written about it being a defining match for two captains. I think that's maybe a little bit extreme to say that career defining for either Smith, but that game, isolate that game was on the bat of Joe Root going into that last day.
It was.
And there's a lot and he wrote in his biography about the crowds last time he toured in Australia and how playing at Brisbane and how it got in his head. You know, looking back now, I realise I don't know if he said he wasn't mentally prepared or what it was exactly. I can't remember the exact quote, but to the effect that I hadn't quite experienced that sort of sledging before. You just wonder where the mental part of his game is at the moment. It's a lot of pressure. He's a young captain.
Especially coming to Australia when our grounds are very enclosed and the crowd's right at you. And in England, they're a bit more open, a bit more spacious as well, and the crowd's not sort of right on the boundary line.
I mean, he's 26.
Yeah.
Joe Root. That's young. He's the captain. He's in a hostile place. 2-0 down. No Ben Stokes. Mo and Ali's not performing. You've got aging bowling stars.
Blokes are headbutting. Blokes are pouring drinks on each other.
What do you like? That's huge to try and deal with.
Yeah, the media and
It's his birthday
Trying
in a
to-
couple of weeks.
Is
you
it
know?
really?
Yeah, it
Being the
is.
captain, having to deal with media about stuff happening outside, and then having to deal with what's happening in team. That's tough as a 26-year-old to have to deal with that and try and think of like answers for the probably what do you get brutal questions
Yeah.
thrown at him.
Look, he hasn't been bad, but he's not gone on with the job. So he scored 15 in the first innings at Brisbane, 51 the next time round, 9, and then 67. You know, it's not bad. Like, if you look at the whole England batting lineup, he's probably been one of their standouts. But you just expect... I think we might have talked about it in the first, even the first podcast of, like, there's a real battle of the captains here. They have to... I just got that feeling. You could see that grit in Smith's game, that first, thing of, I'm going to go get a big 100 and you're not going to get me out. Root needed to do that in Adelaide. Even if he was the last man standing and they lost by 50 runs, he needed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that Steve Smith's got in his way is that he was sort of able to play those tests against West Indies, Sri Lanka, Pakistan. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember all the test matches captain, but he's had that experience to play a few more tests and actually work out what kind of captain he is, deal with press and deal with fans and his team and all that. And Joe Root's, he's only captained 2 tests, and
I think he captained a few more.
I was going to say, yeah. But he's
but not many more.
not many. He doesn't. Yeah, not against big crowds and
No.
massive.
Smith's a couple of years
Team issues.
older.
Yeah,
I think that does make a big difference in terms of he's captain in India now. He's been through some, pretty
tough,
big
tough
tours.
times.
He's actually played less test matches
Yeah, I've
than
seen that.
Joe Root.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't know exactly what it is. I think we're kind of harping on it a bit, but it is a massive tour. If your head is not right, you historically look at all the teams that have come out and managed to get something out of Australia. In Australia, the South African team that did in 2008 were absolutely driven, and they were on right up until they sealed the Test series. They did lose the last one in Sydney, but they were just dogged the whole time. Faf has led a couple of tours like that. Graham Swan and England, when they came out in, was it 2011, 12? I can't remember exactly. Whatever that tour was, where they came out and won 3-1 over here. Again, they were driven, and they made Australia look like a mess. At the moment, England are
Not
a hot mess.
Yeah.
They're a circus. They've got a couple of players who are doing really well. I just hope they can turn it around. This is not me at all saying, like,
they've got
they're stuffed. They could be. They could be well and truly
It is
cooked.
starting to look like that.
It's
isn't
really
it?
like
She's
halfway through the
disappointed.
Adelaide test. I thought, they're getting back into us. They're turning it around, and then that last day when it all just collapsed, I was like, it's not.
So close.
That's not good.
If
It's
what?
not looking good at all for England, and it feels like they just need that one more bad innings, and that could be it. That could just break them.
Well, I think it's obvious to say they need to go over to the WACA now and get a result. Whether that's a draw. I mean, if they draw, they lose the Ashes, I think, don't they? Because Australia already hold them.
Yeah, I'm not
Possibly something like that.
sure.
Anyway, we're so up with our information. It's like,
It's what you get with
yeah.
semi.
No, we're professional, John. Utmost professionalism.
We got all the stats perfect. We got
I
2 of us have got some notes.
I think it's just a huge game for the rest of the summer for them.
Yeah.
You've seen how terrible some of the tours have been, where it has ended up 5-0 in the one-day series as have been. It's just a long, long summer. You've got to put it on the board, England. You've got to get on the board, put a bit of pressure back on the Australians. If you lose this, there's no pressure for the Australians going into the last
There's
two
nothing.
tests.
It's just like they've got
You got the Ashes.
I've got the Ashes. Just sort of played away with playing, and yes,
So who's going to make a difference for them then? This is what we're going to... If you're England, what makes the difference? Who's going to step up? How can they step up?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yes.
I'd start with batting Bairstow above Ali, just because he's not performing, and Bairstow
Maybe even you
has.
could even move Overton past Ali at this stage and give Ali that time to maybe come in if they do get a good score, and he does come in to not have that massive pressure on him, and maybe he can bat a good innings and get some more confidence in himself.
Yeah, I feel like a good opening stand from Cook and Stoneman could be the difference, because like I was saying before, I feel like that would take a lot of pressure off Root, and then we're probably more likely to see him come out and score big. So I feel like those two, I think Bairstow should be batting above Ali at this point, and maybe Broad getting some rewards with the ball.
Do you think it's possibly too that the batting is where it's let down? Because the bowling attack has done decently across the series. I mean, like, I understand there was that 10 wicket win. It's the funny thing, you look at it, the scores, like in that first test, you know, England made 302, Australia then, I mean, they should have had Australia out. 328 they made. Then England gets skittled for 195 and Australia chased down the 173 without loss. The next test, Australia made 442. Big score, declared. You know, and next innings, England bundle out for 227. But then they actually get on top. Skittle Australia for 138, and they get to that position, that match-winning position, and they basically fumble it and, you know, get shot out. It's like, it's a moments thing. When those moments are there, and they talked about this a few series ago.
They've been talking about it all about during the Ashes so far.
There's like a few every game.
Yeah.
You know, you might get one or two moments a day in Test cricket where you can alter the course of the match.
And you can always, I don't know about you guys, but when I watch it, you can always feel when those moments happen. You can always tell when it's like, that's a massive moment just happened. And so far, it's all gone Australia's way, except for that night session, which went England's way.
But how close was that to, if Root had come out and gone on with it and made a ton, you know, the result may or may not have been different. But I feel like they were so close to swinging even the media onto Smith, because it was, I can't believe Root chose to bowl first.
Yeah.
But they were very close to saying, why didn't Smith enforce the follow-on? Like, because the media are pretty fickle, really.
Well, you could see that even in that night session. Like, after it happened, after they got bowled out, you actually could feel the media in an instant suddenly go, like Smith was talking about having to take a sleeping pill to sleep that night because he was so stressed about having made the decision and the state of the match. It sort of made you go, okay, like, they would turn quickly. And instead, England now have it back on them. Smith and Warner and the Australians slip out. We can paper over the cracks in their team. Because they haven't been perfect.
Through the net. Yeah, no, Warner's hasn't done a lot. But
well, I think the whole Australian team, there are weaknesses there.
Yeah, massive weaknesses.
I like Hanscom, but he's not in... I think I don't know if you say he needs to change his technique, if he's always batted like that, whatever. Whether that's the case, that he's always batted like that, these bowlers have identified a way to get him out or to limit his scoring. So it's all... I think that's part and parcel of the game, is that players will obviously try and work out a way to upset your game. And they've found that. So it doesn't matter to me whether he's always done it and that's his natural game. You now have to adapt.
Has to change.
Yeah.
You've either got to discover a way to counter what's happening to get him out repeatedly.
And dropping him is not going to solve that.
Not necessarily. And I'm pretty sure Mitch Marsh is coming in for Hanscom.
Johnny's filthy.
And I don't know, is that the answer? Is the answer to drop Hanscom? I personally wouldn't drop him.
No.
See, the thing is that, you know, you've got to upset the line. The thing was, I remember that, you know, there was a few sessions there watching Hanscom bat where it was just an attack on him. And yeah, he's got a really good eye and he can keep the ball out. But if that's all you're doing and you're not able to score runs to put the pressure back on the bowling attack, you're going to keep getting pinned, because it's all very well to try and survive. You got to try and score to start putting something in the bowler's head.
Yeah.
I feel like that with England. Most of the bowling lineup, they've got to find a way to put some stress and doubt into the minds of that Australian bowling attack, because at the moment they are just all over.
Yeah, there's no doubt in Australian. There's doubt in Hazlewood's mind in the first test. You could see he didn't bowl that great in the first innings, and he was all over the place, and they were getting on top of him. But as soon as he got back to what he does as well, it started to shift again, and the England haven't been able to get on top of their bowlers.
They've been let off the leash, I think, too often. It's a series of almost for England so far. The tactic in the first test almost came off to bat a long time.
Yeah, bat time and wear out the bowlers, but then they didn't go after line to wear out the quicks.
And then it almost paid off in Adelaide to bowl first.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if they
and you see what I mean. You go, oh, why did he bowl first? Blah blah blah. Why did you send Australian to bat? And if any captain, you see the results of day-night tests, and you see the team who bat first, they've always lost. You go, well, might as well send him to bat first. We've got a good chance to win if that's the result so far.
Well, I think
you'd be more inclined to bowl
up
first.
Until there was a moment there in that first innings, where the result was in doubt a little bit, because the fall of wickets. I remember when Payne and Sean Marsh came in and batting together. It was sort of like, if another couple of quick wickets fall now,
that partnership really
got
them going.
The only thing he's done really, Tim Payne. But I did think,
I thought he kept pretty well, Payne.
It was a decent contribution.
It was important.
Yeah,
and it allowed, because where the game was, where Marsh was in his innings, I feel like he needed that time to still just block and get his eye in, and Payne allowed him to do that, because he was ticking the runs over.
Yeah, and he could tell it was when he was on 30. You could tell that England were getting back on top of him because he wasn't making any runs. He was really just blocking and having to get his eye back. And I think it was during the dusk time.
Oh, and
when it was changing over.
I find that Sean Marsh needs to get, when he starts, he needs to get into double figures before he settles at all. Yeah. He's really an edgy kind of nervy batsman. But it's the same again at the start of every session, if he is in, he's got to get his eye back in, which they all do, but he can bat the balls, but it's still like he has to score 10, 15 runs before his confidence comes back. Yeah. And it was interesting that happened to him because he was scoring so slowly. I felt like until he was on 60, 70 runs, I wasn't confident. I thought he could go out any minute until he was up to about 60, 70 runs, and all of a sudden his demeanour changed. And I thought, he's in now. It's taken him 70 runs and 200 balls, but he's in now.
Yeah. And you could see him playing those really nice shots that he's got. Like, he's got some... When he does play well, he's got some really nice shots.
I really like watching him hook the ball. He plays a beautiful pull shot.
He does.
I still wouldn't have him in the team.
It's one of those what ifs. What if he never did get injured, and what if he did bat well when he first got in? He could have been a great Australian batsman, but since he hasn't been able to get those big runs, and he's done it so far in this series.
Yeah, I feel like he's earned his spot.
He's leading the runs.
Yeah.
He's averaging 98.
Yeah.
Smith averaging 93 and Warner averaging 58, and it drops down to Joe Root averaging 35. Marsh has played some beautiful innings in his career. Now, I've seen him play for in the Scorchers. I've seen him make 100. In the T20 cricket, he's got a beautiful stroke play. it's the gap between his best batting and his worst batting, I think.
It's
the issue. And if you can bridge that and find a way to make runs, this is what I'm talking about with Hanscom. If you're out of form, or they've worked out a way to get on top of you, if you can still find a way to make some runs, you're less in danger of less in danger of being dropped.
Yeah.
But as soon as that, if you're either making nothing or a lot, you're gonna come into that question of selection a little bit more often because you're not regularly producing something.
And that can be said for most sports, I feel like.
Definitely.
It's the best teams or best individual sports people, it's the ones who the difference between their best and worst, the gap's smaller. They're the most successful. Even watching New Zealand, I thought, in my opinion, you've got India and I reckon South Africa are probably the second best. I don't even know where they are on the run. I know India's ranked number 1, but
I think South Africa might be second.
Well, I personally think it
that
goes India and South Africa. I feel like their gap between their worst and their best isn't very large. And then I personally put New Zealand, I think they would skittle us. If we went over to New Zealand and played a 5-test series, I think they would skittle us. They're up and about. But their worst cricket is pretty poor. The difference between their best and worst is there's still a bit of a gap.
Yeah. They're going way back to the World Cup. You could see that.
Yeah.
Between the best and the worst, when they were playing really well, they were beating everyone. And when they came to the grand final against the Aussies, they were terrible.
Yeah.
They came across Mitch Starc on another particularly good Mitchell Starc kind of day.
Yeah. Like even when they did win against Australia and England, in New Zealand in that World Cup, Starc was on. He nearly won that game for Australia. And you can tell, it's like the best is really good, but the worst is pretty bad.
I think you're going to choose consistency. You want consistency from most of your team. In that,
Sorry, Colin de Gronholm. That's my. that's the name.
It
I told
to
you it would come to me, and he
scored
would
a
be.
Test 100, didn't he?
I'm pretty sure, but he's my. If we're picking our best 11, I'm taking Stokes and de Gronholm, my first 2 picks.
Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's all right. I just think consistency, and this is probably what they miss England at the moment. That Stokes factor, that Moeen Ali factor, is that they've got some guys who are willing to pitch in and work. They don't have either of those. They don't have a player who can sort of go beyond that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Anderson, I suppose, did on that evening session where he took his 5 wickets or whatever. But that's the first time he's ever done that in Australia. You need a guy who can, every match, try and win you one of those moments. Stokes can do it. Moeen Ali normally does it. Australia have those guys in Warner. The way that Warner and Bancroft shut out that match in Brisbane, that situation is tailor-made for Warner. He loves. I'm sure that I've seen him bat those situations before, where you go, for some teams, some players, this would be a really awkward chase. Something just under 200. For him, it's like beauty. Shut the gate. That's it.
Yeah, I can.
Let's get these runs as quick as possible.
And really grind the opposition.
Yeah, and it's also that the amount of time they had. They had 2 days to make the runs, and it's just like, let's just go out there, lock them out, just wear them completely down, and then
And I think that's what England are lacking at the moment. They're lacking someone who can take the team by the scruff of the neck and haul them along with them.
A little.
You can see Roots trying very hard to do that, but he just can't get them.
You can see it in other sports. Like I look at, say, like your football and that. That's one of the things we're missing.
See Selwood for Geelong just say, get on my back and let's go. We're gonna and him and Dangerfield just carry the team, and that's possibly also why Geelong haven't been as successful of late, because they sometimes do rely too much on those two.
There's too much carry.
That's what I've always noticed. That's when Selwood and Dangerfield don't play that well. Geelong doesn't play that well.
Whereas I think, you look at some of the premiership winning teams from the last few years, a few of the top players can have an off day.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really matter. I think the Hawthorn team their three-peat was really good at that.
Yeah, they were very consistent.
You
weren't
kind of
they?
go,
Yeah.
excellent, we've collared, this player. But then 2 or 3 other guys step up anyway.
Here you go. Who do you tag? Hodge, Lewis, Mitchell.
Yeah. And then what was that? Oh, that guy still gives me nightmares. Langford. He only played in one of their premiership sides, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
Will Langford. He's blonde.
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of
I
shaggy
don't know one.
hair.
Is it Will or Kyle Langford? There's a couple of Langfords.
Will.
I'm not sure.
Will Langford.
Yeah.
But he tore us apart in a prelim final, I think it was, and he just one of those players. Again, one of those ones that comes out in finals. So you go, are they going to have that extra X factor this year?
Yeah. Outcomes.
This guy turns up. It's like with Richmond. like they found those extra players. Was it Graham or someone who was kicking goals? He only sort of started playing the last few weeks.
It was Lloyd as well. I think he was chipping in a couple of goals.
I don't know. I hate Richmond.
Yeah.
I stopped watching.
Collingwood.
Yeah, I just stopped watching. I didn't watch many Richmond games.
No, I think many Richmond fans would be pretty filthy at the moment because the Matildas took out the team.
Team of the Year at the
Team of the
Australian
Year,
Sport
yeah.
Awards, as they should.
And they basically, I think they won basically everything.
Yeah,
which is absolutely
They're
fair enough.
Bit of a ripper team.
Yeah, especially being Brazil 6-1.
Yeah, in the grand final.
Yeah.
I think. Obviously we've discussed it. It's a huge game for England. You're sort of saying, you feel like you need that opening partnership.
Yeah, I feel like that because, I just feel like the effect that could have on Root is what could get them over the line. But I watched Anderson. He was the one that spoke in the huddle when they were coming out to bowl their second innings. He bowled 11 overs in a row. That's a long spell.
Yeah.
Then he came out in the morning and bowled 8 overs in a row, and he bowled really well. And while I was watching, I thought, this is fantastic. And that's at that time you sort of thought, are England going to come back here? And I was thinking, this is really good leadership. He's one of the players that needs to stand up and do this. But now, as time's gone on, now I'm starting to think about the next test. I think, well, we're coming into test 3. Why could he not do that in the second innings at the Gabba? Why did it take that for someone like an Anderson to say, righto boys, give me the ball, I'm not giving it to anyone, and I'm going to bowl well, and I'm going to get wickets, and I'm going to lead from the front. But why didn't he do that?
They don't look, like we said, you have to be organised to go to another country and win a test series.
Yeah, you can't, if you go with any doubts in your mind at all about the test in another country, you're gonna it's just gonna be exploited.
Well, you see that when Australia go over to India, and every year there's this debate of like, who do we pick for keeper, and invariably we get it wrong, and you see it cost us big.
And not going with a Khawaja, for example, who was in really good form. If
when
you're
he's on
gonna
great form.
if you're gonna get him over his problems with spin, that's the best time to take him over there when he's
going to face a lot of
when he's in confidence, and you're going to face a lot of
chuck
it.
him in the deep end and go, you've got to make runs.
And
this is your good chance.
He was opening too before that Indian tour for Australia and playing really well. That's when he should have gone over. And what did you guys think of his new tactics to face spin?
What, just trying to hit it out
Just
of the park?
try to run down. But it was...
You got to do something.
I personally like just seeing the fact that he did try something.
Well, I think that's what you're looking for from Hanscom. He's either got to turn around and make runs with this technique, or he's got to be looking to find a different way of scoring.
Yeah. If it fails, your new way of playing.
And it was hairy. He played some ordinary shots, but it worked.
At least you train, and if it fails, it fails. You try the next thing.
Yeah, and I think that's where maybe some of the frustration's going to come from Hanscom. If he doesn't turn around and find a performance, then if I was the selectors, I probably would drop him.
Yeah, I think the only change he made in his second innings was he started doing a bit of a Smith, and instead of just playing back in his crease, he started to do that little step right and back in his crease like Smith, and that's not really a dramatic change.
No, because they're still going to be able to bowl the same sort of lengths to you, and you just sort of think you're quite open to...
well, if the ball hits him on the pad, he's out.
Yeah.
Because it's not going over. Because he's so close to the stumps. Like, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what you change. I don't think I would bring Mitch Marsh in if I was Australian.
No.
Why? It's the age-old thing. Why change a winning team?
But if you are going to change, why bring Mitch Marsh?
Yeah.
Is it purely because he's a Marsh? Is that...
It's starting to feel like that.
Well, in the last round of Shield, he, I don't think, scored much over 30 in an innings. And Maxwell, who backed up his double 100 with a 96, I think.
And there's another thing. I was reading a thing about him being included, and they're going, he's going really well. He's been making this many runs,
Yeah,
and he's
picking
been
him
bowling.
on form. No, they're not.
He bowled 13 overs one Shield match and 9 the next.
He's taken 2
How
wickets.
is that performing well with the ball when he's come off an injury?
Yeah.
You can't just go, hey, he's in great form. Let's bring him in over this.
He's had one really good innings with the bat for the Shield, where I think he made 160 odd. But Maxwell's doing that, and Maxwell was in the Test team, and he was performing. Like, he was unlucky to miss out, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's just that thing. It's
And
like,
also with Maxwell, we all, apart from the fact that Stark really got on top, Lyon to me has been the pick of the bowlers.
yes.
Yes.
He's bowling off spin. We've got, apparently we're going to bring in we're trying to bring in an all-rounder in Marsh.
he's not
Why not bring in Maxwell? If off spin's working, he bowls off spin. And give him a go. He might be able to snag a few wickets. Lyon's causing headaches. Why can't Maxwell? And not only that, but he is a better batsman than Marsh. He can take games away from you as far as he's an aggressive batsman. So if he makes his 50 runs, he's going to do it real quick.
And he can come into that point where you've got a good lead, and he can just come out and get another 20, 40, 50 like that.
You feel
And
like
that just really puts pressure on them.
would the WACA suit a batsman like Maxwell? In
I
terms
think
of
it
that
would.
extra bit. I know the WACA's not nearly as extra bouncy as everyone back in the days of Lily, and it's nothing like that anymore.
No.
And you've got helmets on too,
And
boys. So
And they've been saying that all week. They've been saying the last 2 tests the pitches haven't been the same as they always were.
But I just sort of feel like it's been a pitch where you can score runs pretty
if you
thick
get
and
in,
fast.
first innings, big scores, and then
For me, Mitch Marsh isn't one of those players that...
he's a flog. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He's a
He
flog,
is.
and he's lucky that he's got Marsh as a last name.
Yeah.
If he was,
He's had 20 odd tests. Maxwell actually has a test 100.
yeah,
He's been tried 7 times. That's it.
I know, it's
I've
just
never
ridiculous.
seen Mitch Marsh take more than 2 wickets, and every time he's come to bowl, I'm pretty sure he's been hit out of the park.
Yeah,
every
he's
time.
just a flog, and
Sorry, his best figures are 4 for 61.
but he's
But how many times has he backed that up?
Well, put it this way. This is his figures across his 21 test matches, which apparently
is
qualify
veteran.
for veteran status.
yeah.
Isn't that the same as his brother?
Yeah. At one stage, I'm pretty sure last summer, he actually played more test matches than Sean Marsh had. So he averages 21 with the bat, which is not even what we would regard as being a genuine all-rounder class. He's taken 29 wickets in 21 games, averaging 37 with the ball.
So then, if you go back to that question I posed, if you're going to say if he's not a genuine all-rounder, you look
Why
at
is
his
he
batting
in the
average.
team?
So if he averages 21, then you expect that he's a bowling all-rounder. So then you expect him to average minimum 3 a match with the ball.
But he's not. He's lucky to take a wicket a match.
Yeah. So flog off.
I don't know.
If
what
I
the
could, I
fuss
would
is
use
there.
very colourful language, and
Yeah.
it's
Let's be the better people.
But
it's try to be. It's just that
does my nut
it's
in.
that frustrating thing
Well, look at
when
Travis
you
Head.
see all these.
He played really well in the last round.
Yeah.
You see all these cricketers in Shield match that are doing so well, playing at general all-rounder, and making the runs, getting the wickets, and yet they get overlooked for this player who's come back from injury and
And his last name's Marsh.
and he's bowled 22 overs the whole Shield match. For me, that doesn't qualify you as a bowler, and what he's been making as runs doesn't qualify as a batter good enough to be in a batter.
I'm highly surprised that Travis Head hasn't got a look in for this Test series, from the perspective that he's actually now played 31 day matches for Australia. He's played 9 T20 internationals. So that's almost 40 games in and around the setup. Like, surely that would count
He's
towards...
captaining South Australia too.
He's actually scored at, 37? At an average of 37 in the one days. He's got 100 and 650s to go with it. He's picked up 12 wickets. Like, he's not anywhere near. I think when he gets into the Test side,
He could,
and I expect he should, I think he should get in as a batsman. And the bowling thing is just an extra thing that can happen.
There's also batting all-rounder sort
one
of.
other thing that really annoys me about going back to Mitch Marsh is it takes one bad over from him, and he just gets pissed off at himself, frustrated. You can see in his face he's just angry, and after that, he just balls crap.
Mitch Johnson talked about that.
Yeah.
About body language, about saying, his tours in England where he got absolutely bullied by the English crowds. The difference between those tours and then coming back to Australia, he worked really hard on his body language of not letting his shoulders drop, not throwing his head back when they edged through slips or whatever. Actually turning around and saying, geez, you're lucky that went through the slips, because, giving a bit of lip back.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. I think that's a thing. Like, body language is huge.
You don't see that with... You kind of see it with Hazelwood sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like if he's not getting it right, he gets frustrated. Yeah.
Stark, you rarely see it.
Nathan Lyon is just
Nathan Lyon, you never
a
see
demon
it.
at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just
And Cummins, he hasn't
maybe
bowled bad enough yet.
Yeah, no. Well, none of them are really bowling.
And you never see that shoulder drop, the frustration in the face.
I'm really, really, really surprised that Travis Head hasn't been considered. He's listed on Cricket Info as being a wicketkeeper. Fielding position wicketkeeper, Travis Head. But
Don't know where that comes from. No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. And if you want to look at their first class records, he's averaging more than Mitch Marsh is. He's averaging 35. Mitch Marsh only averages 30.
Yeah, there you go.
I just think he's
young. He's 24.
I look at Travis Head and go, he's one of those guys that's going to fit into that future captain kind of role.
He could do what you did with Dave Warner with Travis Head. Bring him in and really mould him into that player that we need, that all-rounder.
Well, I think
that's
ideally he's actually already got more balance to his game. Remember, Warner came onto the scene as a big basher, huge sixes, and he really developed his game for the Test level. Head already has great dimension to his game. Like, he can go that huge 6 hitting round, or he can knuckle down and play more of a first class Test innings.
Yeah.
And you've seen him do that for Australia in the one days. He's played slower innings, he's played quick.
Fantastic. Does well.
Get him in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I really like.
He's not even in the squad. Wouldn't you put him in the squad as a nod of, like, you know what, he's on the fringe. Yeah. Release him to go and play for South Australia, but acknowledge, hey, you made the cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not in the team at the moment because, we're... I don't know. I don't get it. I feel like he looks the goods.
I think he should change his last name.
Yeah, I reckon
and
too.
I reckon he's getting a go.
I think 90% of
feel like
Australian cricketers should just change their name to Marsh, and then you've got
Glenn Maxwell Marsh.
Yeah.
Hyphenate.
It's that thing we just want to bash your head against the wall and just go, what is Cricket Australia doing? Seriously,
I don't understand the Mitch Marsh thing because
it's it's the same thing with Sean Marsh again. That same issue we're talking about is he's just come off an injury.
We've had this with a few players though. I mean, people scratch their head for years about Shane Watson.
Yeah, I did.
Me too.
I think they gave him way too many chances. How many times do you want to go out LBW champ before you get the boot? Yeah. They really did stick with him. Yeah. And they did really stick with Mitch Marsh too. He got a lot of chances.
21 tests.
Yeah. And I don't remember seeing one of those test matches and thinking, oh, wow, he's actually...
With Mitch?
Yeah, with Mitch Marsh.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing any...
I've never
of those
seen one where you go,
21.
yeah, he's the next one to fill
Whereas
that role.
I've been a fan of Sean Marsh. I was critical of him early, not because I don't like Sean Marsh, but I just felt like where he was batting in that all-rounder position, even though he's not an all-rounder.
Yeah.
I felt like Maxwell should have been in the team. That was my only knock on Sean Marsh. I like him. I just didn't have him in my best selection.
The more I've seen him bat, the more I've liked him, and he's backed up the selectors really nicely, and he's got that real nice technique. And when he does get that 15 or whatever runs on the board, he looks fantastic.
Mm.
He looks clean, he looks steady, and he looks like he can just hit it anywhere.
I'm worried this is going to be an innings match.
Mm.
I want to be able to tip the other way and say I think England are going to come out. They're going to put 500 on the board. I'm concerned.
From the first
I hope
two
not, though.
tests, I just can't see it being good for England.
If England win the toss, they're batting first.
Oh, yes.
I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
I think whoever wins the toss is going to... It's a tough one to say because...
I think they're batting first regardless.
I
Whoever
would
wins the
say
toss,
they're
but
going to bat first because Australia would want to get that pressure on straight away.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that just about wraps it up.
Yeah, do we want to do what we've done the last couple times and say who we think is going to be the best player for each team? Or?
Yeah. Well, you want to pick a score or, pick some sort of match narrative and your best players, best and worst or something like that. Give it a bit of a summary, what you think might happen.
You have to think about it.
Is it a want or a prediction?
Prediction.
A prediction.
Well, maybe you can do a bit of both if you want. Have your fantasy and then give us the real.
I think kind of like last week, my want is to see Cook and Stoneman to start well and England get a win. My prediction is... Well, that's not going to happen. I feel like my prediction would be more like... say a Warner tunning up, maybe Smith tunning up again, and Stark and Lyon, maybe Cummins as well. One of those three getting fifer and England getting skittled really easily, but I hope that's not the case.
I would just had this thought too of this ground has some good memories for a lot of the Australian lineup. Sean Marsh's home ground.
And it's bouncy and he plays a really good pull shot.
Dave Warner, I've seen dominate on the WACA. Just going to throw another little name your way. Tim Payne scored his only domestic 100. Which was a double
Payne.
100, by the way. It was a double 100 at the WACA in 2006.
I just want to point out that last round in Shield cricket, now this is just my selections of picking out players that were standouts for each team. Western Australia were the only team that didn't have a keeper in that.
Yeah, right.
Gotch for Victoria is their keeper. He dominated. Then you go Duran for Tasmania, who, if you look on his profile, it says he's a keeper, but he's not because Wade's the keeper in the team. But Wade also played really well.
Yeah, right.
Neville played well for New South Wales. Kerry, the keeper for South Australia, dominated with the bat.
Maiden Ton, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's 26. Duran's 20. Gotch is 24. And then for Queensland, Pearson, he's only 25. He's a keeper, also dominated. So if what would have happened, would Payne have been selected if that was the first round of Shield?
No.
Hell
no.
Because he didn't really perform, but especially considering, and I'm pretty sure, they played against each other too. So that would have been interesting round one if it had been Tasmania versus New South Wales, because both Neville and Wade performed with the bat. Well, that would have got one of them the nod, wouldn't it? In round one.
Payne's innings, I think, that got him the nod was he made a half century in the tour game where he was like the oldest player out of that, Cricket Australia's kindergarten 11 or whatever, they played against the English. He actually batted semi-decently in that and made a few runs. He's like the Stephen Bradbury of wicket keepers. He's right. Everyone else fell over, and Tim Payne got in.
And he wasn't even keeping. Like, he
No.
hadn't been keeping through the
He was
Shield.
going to retire. Wasn't he? He was going to give up the ghost
It's
last
a
year.
classic Bradbury. It's like,
Yeah.
I've lost this. I may as well just sit back,
I
finish up. They're all falling over. I'll get in.
I think that I like the story. I
Yeah,
want
I
Tim
do.
Payne to do
I
well.
do
Oh, too. yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
It's the underdog fairy tale
because
story.
I didn't want to see Neville or
Yeah, no, me either.
Wade get picked because it's the same garbage.
Yeah.
Test series
Yeah.
to test series. Oh, who, Neville or Wade? Well, can you give us a decent third option? It's kind of like
Or
an
just give
election
us
of
an
like, oh
like-
god, Liberal, Labor, who am I going to pick?
But it's also why I was harping on Bancroft getting a go, because I just felt like it was a perfect opportunity. And why not try a youngster? There's all these young keepers. Like I just rattled off all these
youth.
names. They're 25, 26, 20.
Carey should get a look in because he's at that nice age of like 26. He's played a bit of first class cricket. He's scored his first ton. I don't think... I would be very surprised if they were to drop Tim Payne now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And
You know.
I don't think he deserves to be dropped on his... Again, for me, it's like Marsh.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he deserves to be dropped from his performances in the first two tests, but I wouldn't have selected him in the first place, and I stand by that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you were angling for Bancroft as your keeper.
yeah.
One thing that it has allowed, I suppose, is for Bancroft to come in and just bat.
And isn't he good under the lid, though?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a jet in the field.
Yeah. And so that's one thing. It's probably an upside of like, regardless of how Payne's performed with even the bat or the gloves. I mean, he's been serviceable.
Yeah.
His experience lets a young guy like Bancroft into the side a bit responsibility free, apart from just look after your batting.
And then what-
Wouldn't he hate Warner running him out in the first innings too?
I was.
That was a
I
dog
watched-
act.
It
We
really
were
was.
watching that together, and
Yeah.
we're just both like,
Oh, why wasn't I involved to the Triple J's
I
cricket
was
session?
very.
Cheers, lads.
That was just
Under the
that-
bus there.
yeah. It was just like, oh,
Spur of the moment thing, was it?
Yeah. You're watching that, and you watch the replays.
He's just letting that one go through to the keeper.
Yeah.
It's like Steve Smith, innings 1 at the Gabba. John's 4 off 200 balls.
But yeah. Warner could have made that easily.
Oh, it
That
was a
single.
total. It was slaughter.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it
was
was.
It was a
slaughter.
massacre.
And he should have put his own head on the chopping block instead of Paul Bancroft too.
I
Bit
hate
of
that.
leadership.
Oh,
I hate that.
Yeah,
when you make the...
no, I'm out. You're screwed, mate.
Yeah.
That's all on
Better
you.
run.
That's when I was thinking about it after that happened. I was like,
Or
What
were
a
you
team.
talking to Jake about it? Or...
Yeah. Or we're having a soda, like... Yeah. Bang.
I was thinking about it when Jake had left.
Bancroft, I hope, tons up this game.
Yeah.
I hope he rips into it, seals down his spot. Poor old Matt
You
Renshaw.
bastards.
Poor old Matty Renshaw.
Oh, there was an article talking about Renshaw finding form.
Oh, really?
Bring up his numbers for the last Shield, because I haven't got him on my little piece of paper here of players that performed in the last round.
Did well carrying the drinks. No, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know
maybe.
what he did. He's a little unlucky to get dropped in the end.
I think he was unlucky to get dropped, but he's not
It's
performing.
been lean.
Yeah.
It's been lean. His scores in the first class cricket this season: 17, 16, 1, 19, 16, 1, 18, 7, 4, 51 not out. So his last,
there's that
his
form.
last innings was a 51 not
Yeah,
out in Cairns. But
There you go, and they preached that. I'm pretty sure Burns. Who does he play for? So-
Queensland.
Yeah, Queensland. That's right. Burns was the standout. He got player of the match, but I didn't see any articles about Burns.
What? Going back to the Bancroft batting thing, what I reckon, what could happen, which would play into what Jack wants, is get Bancroft his batting really well, and then keep him in second spot, but put him as keeper, and then that frees up another spot for another good batter to come in or an all-rounder to come in, and you've got an opening keeper.
Yeah,
Can
well,
bat really well.
There are opening keepers around
Yeah.
the world too. Like it's
just saying.
And if Bancroft does get his batting really well, and he is a handy keeper,
You got to feel
He could
just
really.
ever so slightly sorry. You don't have to, but I do a little bit. For Joe Burns.
I do.
Yeah.
13
absolutely.
tests. He's got 300s and 450s in his 13 tests. He's averaging 38.
Yeah, that's
That's
good numbers. I'm
pretty
actually
good.
pretty sure I had that in my notes for
After-
last week.
Yeah.
After
he's-
13 tests, a 30, 39?
And he's just scored a double ton. So his numbers in his last
Yeah, his
two
last
first-
2 shields have been good.
81, 103, 202 not out, and he did make a 4. But
Yeah, I thought
That's-
he was
that-
unlucky.
He'll be putting some pressure on some batters in the Australian squad then.
Agar performed. Another one
Yeah.
who's young and is
That's
clearly a
fairly-
bit of a favourite.
yeah.
fairly good spinner.
Yeah.
Well, he's already had a test, doesn't
Yeah.
he?
He's played a few
Agar, yeah,
tests, Agar. and-
Debuted in England
Yeah, and he's...
and made 98 in his first game.
Well, he averages, I'm pretty sure, for Australia, 32 and a half with the
Yeah,
bat
that's the one.
and 2 wickets a match.
Mm.
And that's not bad.
That's
Really.
not bad.
Well, he was only he debuted in 2013, which is what 4 years ago. He's only
So
20,
he's 20 then,
20.
yeah.
over in England too. He
Yeah.
debuted, so,
I remember he made that 99,
yeah.
which nearly saved Australia.
Yeah, I do remember that
But it
too.
didn't.
Yeah, there's
What
a lot going on in Shield that
It's
isn't
looking
getting
good.
noticed.
any other bowlers who are looking good?
Well, Sayers performed.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for Sayers getting dropped.
Swepson as your leggy, he bowled really well. And batted well too. I don't know how to pronounce his name,
Yeah.
but Labuschagne.
Oh, Labuschagne, yeah, the
Uh,
South African
that's a
ball.
mouthful.
He played pretty well.
Yeah.
With the bat, and he did had a bowl. And I looked at his figures, and he has played 27 matches and only taken 12 wickets. But I feel like he probably hasn't been bowled much until recently.
Yeah.
Because he bowled quite a lot of overs. I don't think you're going to bowl someone a lot of overs if they're
Yeah.
ordinary.
Yeah. Might
Who
be a new
else?
string that he's adding to the bow.
Yeah, that's right. O'Keefe bowled well. Bird again, man of the match. He's just been backing up. Man of the match, Bird.
No, he should be getting his foot right in the door. then.
Rogers for
He should be.
Tasmania was handy. And yeah, Agar bowled well.
Yeah.
So less last round. It was the batting has improved in the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks for the Shield cricket, whereas at the first couple rounds it was just all bowlers just running amok. But
Watch it
but there's
go
a few there. Like
Yeah.
downhill after the Big Bash finishes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've tipped England to,
I want
You
them to
would-
win, but I think they're going to lose.
John.
I can't see England winning.
Who's your player of the match?
Player of the match, I reckon. Tough one. Maybe a Steve Smith could be player of the match, or a Nathan Lyon could really come out and do some great stuff in the WACA and just somehow get turn and take a good handful of wickets. I reckon he could possibly, and maybe even a Mitchell Stark could be a man of the match.
I think
Out of the blue, Overton could. I reckon the way he's bowling in Adelaide, he could really tear it up.
I think he suits the WACA too.
yeah, he's a bit of extra bounce because he's already an uncomfortable sort of customer.
Yeah, and he's got that height.
If England can bring their bowling effort across the 2 innings, and if their batsmen can stand up, then they're a shout.
Yeah,
Probably won't happen.
If that's the case,
I can't-
I'm saying broad pick of the bowlers,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go with. Going to go out on a limb and say Stoneman.
Yeah. Cool.
If
Yeah.
England
It's
goes
a
England's way.
big if from what we're
Yeah.
seeing.
I expect huge score.
Yeah,
Aussies rack up first up. That's the way it'll go. If Australia win, they're going to rack up a big score first innings.
they're gonna. Yeah,
Enforce the follow
it's
on.
got
Yeah.
that feeling that Australia's either gonna put England completely to the sword and just destroy them, or England's gonna really fight and scrape through to win.
I know this is, let's say, PG rated.
Yeah.
But if Nathan Lyon bowls Ali out 2 more times, I would be concerned that there's a possibility that Ali's going to fall pregnant with Lyon's child because he is.
He's all over him. He's all over him. It's true.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, well, it's 4 out of 4. And I reckon I was going to, when you were talking before, I was going to pick Lyon as my potential man of the match here. That extra bounce, he already gets good bounce. I reckon he's going to be all over them. And to be honest, I think if they lose here, there are a few, we talked about careers ending before.
This could be
I
career
feel like
ending
there's a few
for Cook.
axes to fall. I'm looking at Cook.
Yeah, if he doesn't perform, he's in strife.
Cook, if Ali gets out twice more to Lyon without doing much,
We can go on maternity leave.
He'll be-
So-
he'll be gone.
I don't agree. I think Ali's still got a long career ahead of him. I think he's gonna.
I still think he's got a
He's
while to go. But
injured.
in this
You know,
test, if he's injured and he's not performing, why have a player that's holding your team back,
I
basically?
mean that's true.
It's-
But
and when
Cook's
especially when you got
perspective-
a young spinner who doesn't have an injury and by it sounds pretty handy.
Cook's played 150 tests, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even necessarily come down to a career over due to selection. This starts to throw up the idea of, do I want to keep touring?
It's
Do I want to come back to, like,
do you want to end up?
after 150 test matches, like, surely you got to start asking yourself the question, if you're not getting the runs.
Do you want to end up going out the way Ponting went out, just getting out cheaply every single time and getting out the same way?
Form?
I personally didn't mind his batting performance in Adelaide. I thought
He looked good.
He
He looked a lot
clearly
better in it.
Who did he get out to?
he got out to Lyon in the first innings, and I felt like his first innings looked okay. And we talked about the work that he'd put in between tests, and I felt like his problem was he put all his work into the quicks and ended up getting skittled as soon as Lyon came on the attack. But yeah,
I hope he does well. I really, and I actually feel like
I agree. I'm in your
the
camp
success of England hinges a little bit on Cook.
there.
Maybe more so than Root.
Yeah.
If Cook can come out, say if they do win the toss and bat, if Cook comes out and they can be 1 for 100 at lunch or something, 1 for 90 at lunch, none for 90 at lunch, something there where they haven't given away too many wickets, they put some runs on the board, and he can give that platform, I feel like that starts to take a little bit of the pressure off those younger guys in the English lineup, the less experienced guys, the nervous guys, the guys who are out of form. If Cook can have a big innings, I think it goes a long way towards, giving England
A chance.
And God, the series needs it.
Oh, it does.
We need an England victory. I mean, I feel like to turn it, we need a win. We need England to get a win on the board.
It feels like if England lose, that's their fight gone. There'd be not much more fight left in him if they do lose, and
Well, once
Would just
you
be
lose
like,
the
yeah,
whole
let's just
once
get-
you lose the series,
yeah.
it's pretty hard to get up for the last 2 tests.
it really would be.
And the Australians will be in party mode.
And they'll just be like, let's.
Although England have already
Burn.
been in party mode, so
Australia got a bit of catching up to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Well, I'm happy to call that put that one in the can.
Call it stumps.
Yep. Good
See
stuff,
what I did there?
guys.
Good
Yep.
stuff.
I did. A little cricket pun there.
Yeah, so
Nice.
You hit that
another
for
good
6.
one.
Yeah. All right. We'll leave that one there. Thanks, John. Bit of a stinker to end it on. All right.
Thanks,
We'll see where you'll hear from us after the WACA test. Hopefully, we've still got a live series, but I have a feeling we might not.
Yeah.
Enjoy your cricket. All right. Bye.